But to those who are interested in pitching, I would first say, make sure you're finding shows that are within the niche that you are trying to attract. So for example, I'm a podcast producer. I own a studio. I want to talk to more content creators. I want to talk to more podcasters so that way they could utilize my studio. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Podcast Trapper. I'm your host, Anna Gogo, founder of Black Pod Collective, Black Pod Festival, and Adode Media. And as you know, as I say week after week, this podcast is all about my insights to the podcasting space, my experiences, my hot takes, as well as meeting and introducing you guys to some amazing people within the industry doing the work. And this week, I want to talk about how to pitch to be a guest on another podcast. As you guys know, through my brand, Adode Media, we manage several podcasts for different organizations and small businesses and brands. And some of the things that we kind of see across the board when pitching to be a guest on their podcast can sometimes be alarming. And I really think that it's from a lack of knowledge and sometimes a little bit of laziness. So this week, I want to touch bases on how to pitch to be a guest on other podcasts. Now, a large amount of my audience, you guys are podcasters already. So I hope that you're not running into this. But there's some of you who are aspiring podcasters, are people who are interested in the podcast space or just entrepreneurs in general. I've noticed that I'm getting a quite significant amount of people who are following along my journey to hear my insights and intake around being an entrepreneur, having a business, having a brick and mortar, managing a team. And so I hope that this information is helpful because being a guest on other podcasts is really, and I mean really, get super close to me here, a really great growth strategy. It does good for your reach. It does good for your ability to access their audience. And I think it's an amazing marketing and PR tool. But in order to tap into things effectively, you have to make sure you're tapping into it correctly. So let's kind of go through this list of best ways that you can ensure that you can be pitched to other shows and can be actually featured. So this is not unanimous because as podcasters, you're able to create what that looks like for you. I honestly do believe that more podcasters actually need to have on their website how to pitch to you. This way, you're telling people specifically what you're looking for. I find that to be the best because if I tell you what I'm looking for and you still don't do it, it's kind of like, you're clearly not really serious about this. So it's one of those things where put it all out there, whether it's a bullet point page on be a guest or join my show or ask specific questions and funnel people that way. But to those who are interested in pitching, I would first say, make sure you're finding shows that are within the niche that you are trying to attract. So for example, I'm a podcast producer. I own a studio. I want to talk to more content creators. I want to talk to more podcasters so that way they could utilize my studio. With this in mind, I want to make sure that I'm talking to someone or joining a conversation about the creator economy, podcasters, somebody who has the ear of the creators. I'm not going to then reach out to someone to be on their podcast and their podcast is about divorce or, spirituality or any of those things. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, well, those same people can be creators as well. And you are correct in that. However, somebody who's coming to listen to something about spirituality and death, they're probably not wanting to hear my happy-go-lucky ass talk about podcasting and the creator economy. That's going to be super awkward. And it could be that I join and I have a conversation of how podcasting can help with grief. I don't know anything about that. And so we have to be mindful of the fact and be good stewards over our audiences. People can pitch you, but you shouldn't, say yes to everybody. So that's for the creator. So first and foremost, finding shows that are within the niche of where you're trying to reach. I won't even say what your specialty is, because my specialty is podcasting, but also I can speak to an audience about marketing, content creation, strategy, owning a studio, owning a brick and mortar. So I don't really look at it that way. I instead think of what is the message I'm trying to put out there and what audience am I trying to reach with said message. From there, you then want to look at shows that have that audience. And so doing that research, listening to an episode, listening to multiple episodes, because this is a huge piece. As in number two, I know you're probably like, number one was kind of long, Anna. I know I'm a little long-winded today. Bear with me. So number two, it's not just listening to an episode to say you did so, but looking through their catalog of episodes. Let me tell you why this is important. When you're looking through a catalog of episodes, you have the opportunity to see that, okay, this is something that you haven't touched on before. This is a conversation you haven't had in the past, and this is where I can benefit your audience. That goes into my next element of when you're pitching, keep the audience in mind and forefront. If they're a good podcaster, a good content creator, they're creating content with their audience in mind. They care about what is going to resonate with them. So as long as you are pitching and keeping that front and center of, hey, your audience, I see that you've had, for example, 10 episodes about, content creation and taxes, content creation and business, but you haven't done one about content creation and contracts. And here's how I think this could benefit your audience and what that looks like. Plan it out. So yes, you want to give an item as far as a topic, but also don't give me more work. As a producer, one of the things that I hate getting is someone who's like, I can talk about anything. What does that mean? You want me to basically figure out what you're going to be discussing. No, be very specific about what it is that they can actually expect to learn from you or hear from you. What this means for their audience. Like, I see that your audience is X, Y, and Z. I think that they would learn this from it, and I would be the person to discuss it because of this background about myself. Some of these things make the world of a difference because it's already kind of formalizing and making it easier for that yes. And I know you're probably thinking to yourself, so I got to do all this work? Yes, if you want to get in front of their audience and so that you can market and grow your reach, yes, you got to get some work. You got to put some skin in the game. So thinking that, I'm just going to be like, this is what I talk about. This is what I do. I would love to be on your podcast. Big no-no. The next thing that I will always tell you is a bad thing. These PR firms, baby, I don't know who's running them. I think it might be your homegirl in them. Because these PR firms are literally sending blanket random emails to people, and it might be ruining your reputation before you even realize it. What I mean by this is the amount of times that for clients, I get emails as their producer indicating that my such and such would be interested in being a guest on this podcast. When I go take a look, my podcast client is a wellness podcast that talks about yoga, and meditation. And you are a rap artist. You talk about trapping. I be listening to your music too, like, ooh, get it. Oh, they not ready. My client don't want that. I can turn up a little bit. I can do a little juke. But my client, they gonna look at me like, so where am I supposed to take this conversation? Now, if you're trying to talk about trapping and yoga, because, there's trap karaoke, trap yoga, hey, you could do a thing. But usually that's not what's happening. So there's no alignment. And a lot of these PR firms, I sometimes feel like they're just sending out things so they can give you a report to say this is how much outreach that they did. So I don't think that's the best utilization. These firms, because, as podcasting grows, anytime a new medium or something is taking off, many people are creating different services to attract and serve that same audience. So now there's people who pitch you. Now there's people who help you get booked on other shows. Now there's people who help you with funding. There's literally a gambit of things, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we have to start doing our due diligence and vetting those places. Next up is, I talked about being specific. I talked about, make sure you do the legwork, but also understanding that audience. In order to do the legwork, you have to understand who that audience is. And I know this probably feels like, wait, these are a lot of steps. I just want to get on here and share about my new t-shirt line. And that's fine. But if you want to get in front of somebody's audience, that's a major audience, even a small audience, you have to actually show that you've done your due diligence. I hear so many people who feel discouraged that, nobody's responding. They don't want to say yes. They only want big name. But I would only want big name too if you're not actually taking the time to see who my audience is. The amount of times that Black Pod Collective, the podcast, a how-to podcast for podcasters, and I don't know why my voice turns into this infomercial whenever I say that, but you're going to like it and you're going to take it. And Quite frankly, it's a how-to podcast for podcasters. It does not have a host. We do not interview anybody. It is literally different people within the community who are giving advice from their perspective and what they're good at. They submit their audio files, we give them guardrails, we edit it, we publish it. I am not on that show. There is no host for that show. But the amount of people who reach out to say, I love your podcast, I listen to it all the time, I would love to be a guest, and I would love to have you interview me because your interview style is amazing. I think that I could bring this to the table. Because I can be a smartass sometimes, and if I have time, which is rarely, but I be having time. If you catch me on a good day, I'm going to hit you with the, oh my God, what did you like about it? Tell me more. I felt like my voice was a little annoying. Did you like my voice in that episode? Especially my favorite is when they come back to say, oh my God, yes, girl, your voice was not annoying at all. Baby, I wasn't even on the episode. I don't host this. Like, just please stop. So this is why, like, these are the things that podcasters, so if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a indie creator and you're looking to join in this evolution, you know, as podcasting grows and tap into that reach, tap into that audience, understand that this is the type of stuff that podcasters are experiencing. And me as a producer, these are the types of things that I see from my clients, and my clients are never going to see these things. It's never going to see the light of day because my job is to make sure that they do not experience the nonsense. But I want to make sure as more podcasts grow, that we really are tapping into it and you're not allowing it to go over your head. And so when you're pitching, ensure that you are thinking through, like, what does this entail? Like, who am I trying to get in front of? And what specifically, don't come over here with 50,000 things. What specifically are you trying to talk to this audience about? So, as you guys know, I like to keep my content super biteable, bite-sized, so that way you can get through it, but also because of the fact that I don't want to just be on here sitting here talking to y'all into the abyss. So I hope you found this information helpful, and I hope that you'll kind of put some of this into practice as you look to be a guest on other podcasts, because we're always looking for people to join us on this journey. So, if you like what you heard today, please make sure you like, subscribe, and tell a friend that the podcast Trapper is trapping out the bendo. And until next time, guys, have a good one.